Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. How are you? Good, great. I'm so excited to be here at the first Developer Student Club Summit in the US. I've been to summits around the world. Recently, I was in Europe, so I met the 62 leads there. Was in India, met the 200 leads there. Also in Ghana, meeting the leads across Africa and Canada as well. So it's been a really cool experience, and I met some of you last night. And what's really cool is, all of you are just fantastic and really inspiring. I loved hearing your stories and the stories of these leaders around the world. One common thread, people are excited to start a community, excited to teach, excited to share, enable other people. So it's been just really, really inspiring to meet all of you around the world. So as Naveen mentioned, I'm Erica Hanson. I lead the Developer Student Clubs program globally. I'm based in New York. And today I'm going to be talking to you about having the courage to care, solve, and share. But first, I'm going to share a bit about my own career journey as well and how I got to Google. So I grew up in California in Los Angeles. And I went to Stanford around the corner. So that's where I studied psychology and communications. And I took a computer science class where I learned HTML and JavaScript, and I built my first website, which was really cool. And it was a Rugby 101 site. I played rugby in college. And I thought, okay, I'll try and make a website. And so that really sparked my interest in technology. I really enjoyed that. My father would code on the side. And so I'm like, okay, this seems interesting. And after I took this class, it was really exciting for me. And I ended up joining Google. I gave my resume to them at a career fair. And my first job was in customer service. I basically answered the phones. Anybody could call Google about questions about the internet, and I had to answer those questions. And I also helped people with their advertising accounts and their businesses. Eventually, I moved to London. That's London at the top right. And I did sales operations there. And along the way, I did various 20% projects, which I found to be really fun. So one was with google.org. Another 20% project was handling the mentoring program at Campus London, which is a tech startup hub for startups. And I connected Googlers with startups there. And I found a rotation program in Singapore. It was called Women on the Web, and it was helping women start businesses online. So I went there to Singapore, and I absolutely loved it. I got to go to Pakistan and Malaysia, and I just found it to be so meaningful. I loved teaching and enabling teaching and meeting these awesome women. So eventually a job opened up in Singapore. I thought, I don't know that I want to live here, but let me just give it a try. And I ended up loving it, and I stayed for 4 years. So that's where I joined the developer relations team. And I worked with developers and startups in Indonesia, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. And one day, my manager at the time challenged me, and he said, hey, I know you come from a non-tech background. You studied psychology. Are you interested in getting a bit deeper in technology? And so I said yes. So I ended up taking part of the nano degree on Udacity and learning Android. So I learned Java for the first time. I had a mentor who helped me along the way. And eventually I taught a group of 8 women over a weekend just what I had learned and some of the basics. And so I found that to be a really cool process, and I wanted to continue to support other people who want to do the same. So eventually, in Singapore, that's also where I got excited about community. So this was the first community event I went to on the left. And I just love this community event. It was people just sharing ideas and wanting to build things together. So I thought, hey, maybe I can start a community in Singapore. So I co-founded Geek Girl Meetup Singapore, which is a community for women in tech. We did a lot of design thinking workshops. We did a 3D printing workshop. So that was a cool experience. I didn't have the experience of starting a community, and this was my first one, and I really enjoyed that. And lastly, I moved to New York, where I am today. It's been about 1.5 years, and I'm working on developer student clubs globally. So that's been my journey. So I know before I talk about share a few stories, I wanted to just set the stage and make sure we're on the same page about what is developer student clubs. So developer student clubs help student developers learn globally and work with their communities to solve real-life problems. And that's what it's about. It's about learning, people growing as developers through workshops, the workshops that you're running, and also solving real-life problems to really get their hands dirty and apply some of the things that they've learned. And our goal is really to create impact. We want to impact students and empower them to impact their communities through technology. And that's what all of you are doing in your communities. All of you will have an impact, even if you're mentoring just one student or helping them on their career journey, or maybe it's a non-tech major who wants to learn a bit about Android or cloud, and you're helping them start that journey. That's impact. And so where did this program begin? It started in India in 2017 as a way to bridge the gap between theory and practice. And we really wanted to give students the experiences and resources they needed to become more industry ready. And actually the person who started the program is here with us, Deepak. You want to raise your hand? So I'm so happy he's here. I hope that you all speak to him. He started this program. And I brought the program to Indonesia, so I helped select 60 leads there. Then it moved to sub-Saharan Africa. And now, where is it? It's all over the world. It's a global community program. There's over 700 clubs all over the world, not only in US and Canada, but also in Europe, Southeast Asia, Hong Kong and Taiwan, India, Middle East, Korea, Africa, and Latin America very soon. So you're part of this global community, and I really encourage you all to connect with the student leaders all over the world, share ideas, connect with them on social media. Also, we're going to be adding you to a global Slack channel. I encourage you to share ideas, best practices, what's working, any challenges that you have. It's a really great networking opportunity. And so as you get started with your communities along the way, I really encourage you to have the courage to care, solve, and share. And what do I mean by that? I know some of you are setting up communities for the first time. I set up my community for the first time a few years ago. And some of you are maybe teaching for the first time. Along the way, I just encourage you to have the courage to care about the members in your community and their journeys and mentoring them along the way, and encourage them to care about some of the problems around them that they can solve in the community, whether it's helping out small businesses or it's solving a local problem that they just find in the community. I really encourage you to also care to solve some of those problems in the community and build some technology that might help them, and also the courage to share those stories back and inspire more people to join your community and to even become developers. So I'll get into each one. First, having the courage to care. So I'm going to share a story about a community member that had the courage to care. And so to do that, imagine that you're on an airplane and you're flying to Jakarta. And that's where you meet Hastu. So Hastu was a member of a developer student club. She was interested in learning more about Android. So she heard about developer student clubs. She joined a workshop that was led by Tessia. So that's Tessia on the left. She was the DSC lead like all of you. And Tessia really mentored Hastu through her journey. And then Hastu joined a project team. And they thought, are there people we can help? Is there someone we can support? So what they ended up doing was building an app to help blind students in the community and connecting them with site volunteers. So that was the first project that she worked on. And Tessia, her DSC lead, shared the story with us. We really enjoyed the story and made a video and shared it. And Sundar, the CEO of Google, heard about it as well and met Hastu at Google I/O, where she shared her journey with him. Then Hastu took the stage and shared her journey with over 500 GDG leads at a summit. And so this is Hastu's story. And one thing that was inspiring is that she said that basically she thought she wouldn't be able to be a developer because she's hearing impaired. She thought that that was a challenge that would get in the way, but actually through the help of the community, people supporting her, she was able to start her journey and is building more apps, and she's still a university student. So this story is about Hastu having the courage to care about other students in her community and helping these students through technology. And the story is also about Tessia. Tessia, a DSC lead like all of you, had the courage to support her and give her a platform to grow as a developer. So Tessia cared. And also, it's not just about Hasu and Tessia, it's also about the community. The community cared. They were there to support her through her journey and help her to build her first project. So that's having the courage to care. And now we're going to be talking about having the courage to solve a local problem of a business or something that you see in your university that can be solved through technology. And to do that, we're going to hear two more stories. And one, again, you have to hop on a plane. And now we're going to go to Ghana to hear this story about this project team at this university. They were looking around and saying, is there something that we can make easier on our campus? So let's hear more from them directly about what they did.
When I came to first year, I found it difficult navigating a lot of facilities on campus. Most first year students, they found it a major challenge. So I said, okay, this is something that we really need to solve. The DSC is a community where students who are like-minded come together to learn technologies in cloud, Android development, and web development. So after a few workshops, I figured that we could solve accessibility for first-year students. We decided to use the mall as a use case to build a navigation system using AR technology. At first, people were like, this is really a complex problem to solve. But then after we broke the problem down, we realized that all the technologies we had to use, we had already learned them in our DSC workshops.
When I heard about it, I was like, David, I need to join this project because I was lost basically the entire first academic year. And that's what DSC does. It gives you a project and it makes sure that you are well equipped to work on the project.
So we had a lot of volunteers and we broke them into teams. First, we had a Blender team to get a 3D model of the building. Then we had the Unity and Scripted team who got the models and made it interactive and available to the Android team, who built the screens and the app and used Firebase, which stores user data and for business analytics. And we had the UI team who created the designer sets and all the dynamic interfaces you see. Last, we had the documentation team who put everything into one file to make it available to the open source community.
My name is Paul, and I study chemistry. I got inspired by attending one of the DSC seminars.
I'm actually very impressed about my brother's journey here because as a computer science student, I just have to focus on the PC parts, computer building apps, but he has something else to do. But he's still taking some time off to help us and he's really doing a good job.
Now I can build Android apps. That means I can use that as a part-time job and maybe chemistry as my full-time job, or maybe the vice versa.
There were times that we had to meet in the evenings. There were times we had to meet early in the morning just to get the project working.
It was hard, but then we looked at the bigger picture and realized that, okay, we can do this, so yeah. DSC is a family and it's about the learning of teamwork and leadership.
What we've built is not a perfect app, but we've come a long way by being able to use the knowledge that we gained from our DSC workshops. My God, this is cool. Who wouldn't love this?
So what I love about the project that they worked on is they noticed that a lot of the students were getting lost on their campus. And they're like, hey, can we solve for this in some way? Let's help them not get lost or help guide them. So they had a use case of the local mall, and then they built this AR/VR navigation app. And what's cool as well is that they, as a whole entire club, they got together to work on this project. They divided and conquered and split into teams and had one project as a club that they worked on. I know in other campuses, some students, they split into small groups and each group has their own project. In this case, they decided, hey, let's work on one together. And I like what Joseph said. He's a member of the club, and he said that's what DSC does. It gives you a project and make sure you're well-equipped to work on that project. And so the students they're going to workshops and they're learning, but this really helped solidify some of that learning, get their hands dirty, and build something. And so they felt that they were prepared to do that. And I also like that he said that DSC is like a family. It is about the learning of teamwork and leadership. And that's also what it's about, getting those teamwork and collaboration skills. In college, I think I had one project I worked on, and I really wish that I had more because my job at Google, everything is in teams. We're constantly collaborating, so I think having more projects at university would have helped me. But that's fine. But through DSC, that is a way that people can really work in teams and work on projects. So that's an example of a club that had the courage to solve a local problem at their university specifically, and hey, maybe make the lives easier of the students who are walking around the campus. So the next story, we're gonna go on a plane again and imagine that you're flying back to Indonesia, and this is where we're gonna hear another example of a project that a club worked on there. And so let's hear from them directly.
Saya dilahirkan di Bojonegoro. Ibu saya mendidik saya boleh bermain, tapi bermainnya itu nggak boleh jauh-jauh. Terus saya melihat kakak saya kebanjiran, yang paling parah itu tahun 2007, di mana rumahnya itu sangat tenggelam, banyak korban jiwa yang ditimbulkan, dan kakak saya itu kehilangan.
Kemarin ya lumayan, kemarin. Ya.
Kalau airnya semakin tinggi kan, nggak bisa lalu lintas kendaraan kan nggak bisa lewat, kita biasanya pakai perahu. Palingnya kalau udah agak parah lagi kita ngungsi.
Warga juga pasti resah, kalau enggak sebelumnya belum diberitahu kan resah. Kalau sudah diberitahu kan nanti ada persiapan.
Saya ketika kuliah di PENS ini, saya pertama kali tahu DSC itu dari dana. Seharusnya kita bisa menghindari hal buruk terjadi ketika kita mengetahui apa yang akan terjadi. Dana membantu saya sekali dalam hal tersebut bersama tim untuk membuat aplikasi L-Float.
Alatnya itu bersifat kayak misal di sini bakalan ada banjir, dari pemerintah bakalan langsung, tidak berdasarkan yang sebelumnya berdasarkan data kami, itu berdasarkan dari WhatsApp. Nanti setelah itu penduduk bisa ke posko terdekat. Di sini ada lokasi-lokasi poskonya. Terus kita bisa kayak ngeset arahnya belok kiri maupun belok kanan itu ada. Karena kita memanfaatkan teknologi arahan juga dari Google. Oke, sudah selesai?
Oke, selesai.
Oke.
Kemudian kita mencoba ke sana, kita menunjukkan ke warga Bojonegoro.
Kalau sekarang kalau ada aplikasi ini kan bisa langsung masuk ke HP-nya masing-masing. Jadi semua warga langsung otomatis langsung tahu.
Di sini kita milih Balai Desa
Mulia Agung,
petunjuk
ya.
arah. Di sini kita bisa lihat di posko ini ada berapa banyak orang.
Membantu banget berarti ya, sangat amat membantu.
Iya. Ini rencana emang akan kami rilis ke Bojonegoro.
Oh gitu ya.
This is the power of DSC. Students all over the world, we can learn and teaching together and also to solve local problems.
Dengan adanya aplikasi L-Float ini, saya merasa sangat senang sekali saya bisa membantu warga masyarakat Bojonegoro, terutama untuk kakak saya.
So what I love about this is that they basically were like, okay, what can we work on? And one of the members of the community said, hey, there's heavy flooding in my sister's village. Let's go talk to them and see, is there value we can add here? Is there something we can work on? So they got feedback. And one thing they learned was they want a better warning system. So once there is a flood, some communication channel to people directly, and also for people to know where the safe zones are. So those are the two things that they wanted to solve for. So they identified the problem, gathered feedback, they did a lot of whiteboarding, and then they shared the prototype directly with the village leader. And now this app is up and running and being used by the village. So I really encourage you to have that courage to solve. And that's what they did in this case. Sometimes it can be tough to go up to people and say, hey, is there a challenge you have of, thinking about like what project you want to work on? But I just encourage you to have that courage to solve and ask those questions and see if there is something that you can do to support here through technology. And once you have a project, we do encourage you to participate in the solution challenge. So this happens once a year, and you're able to submit your best projects, and you're going to be hearing more about that soon. And lastly, I want to talk about having the courage to share. So to do that, I'm going to talk through some of the tweets that one club did. So basically, they shared their journey along the way. They shared what workshops they were working on and encouraged more people to join. So I'm going to walk through a few of these also as an example of types of workshops you can run. So they basically launched their club. This was their info session. They did a workshop on collaboration tools like GitHub. On the left, they ran a cloud study jam. They went to DevFest, which is an event that the Google developer groups lead. Then they participated in a hackathon, a Firebase workshop, and a TensorFlow workshop. And lastly, they closed it off with a showcase, where they showcased back to their community and their university what projects that they worked on. So this is an example of ways that you can share. You can, through social media, sharing with your community, what some of the workshops, what are some of the projects that you're building, and you can share that. Another way of sharing, has to join me on stage and shared her journey. It doesn't have to be this big of scale, sharing a story in front of hundreds of people, but it could even be someone who was impacted or has a story to share or has built something cool, sharing just back to your classroom or sharing back to your university in some way. And also sharing stories online about your own journey as well to inspire other people. So one student in India shared his journey through a Medium article. And we do want to hear these stories. So this is an open forum now where you can submit any stories. And by impact, it doesn't have to be huge. It could be mentoring one student and you help them build something new for the first time, or you helped a non-tech technical student start their journey, or it could be someone working on a cool project. It could be somebody taking the stage for the first time as a speaker. So these are all examples. And we really want to amplify those stories. So we want to amplify and share these stories through our Google Developers channels. And I just want to let you know that really the only limit to your impact is your imagination and commitment. Really anything is possible. And impact can be big and small, but I just encourage you to have imagination and commitment along the way. Because all of you will make an impact. And I encourage you, as you do, to have the courage to care, solve, and share. And make sure that you have fun as well. We need to have a laugh every once in a while. So thank you so much. And please do follow me on social media, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. I'd love to stay connected with you. And thank you very much.